rolling.
Welcome back, everyone. This is episode 169 of the Jiu Jitsu Dummies podcast. We are brought to you by Black Belt Digital Marketing.
Man, great marketing company. I've heard of them. They're great.
Anything you need to build your business on or offline, website design, SEO, Google Ads, graphic design, printing, we can absolutely help. Check us out at Black Belt Digital Marketing on Instagram or our website, bbdigitalmarketing.com. You can request a free review of your online presence today. One of the big things that we're doing right now is we're definitely converting a lot of clients into website SEO, specifically because of AI. If you do an AI search now, sometimes it shows you the website that it found the info from or the multiple websites where it's collected info from. And it's actually like OpenAI, ChatGPT, has a directory system now. So now you can report your business to them like for local listings.
How do you do that?
You got to use us, and we use a software that reports you to all the direct. It's basically got added to our directory platform.
Okay.
So really cool. A lot of people don't even understand how that's going to work. But if you want your website to get found, you better be updating it with information all of the time. Blogs, new pages, information, right? AI is looking for information to spit out to everybody, right? So the more you have, the more that you'll be fed as a result.
I've been blogging. I like it.
You have to. At least once a month, more if you can. So I'm Milton Campus. I'm a black belt training out of South Florida. I train at Coral Springs BJJ right here in Coral Springs, Florida. We got Christian behind the camera.
Hey.
Every time. It's hilarious.
It's shorter, right? I got Ben Stark on the co-hosting duties. Appreciate you coming out again.
Always a pleasure being
here.
here.
Man. Why don't you shout out your fight tape?
It dawns on me. You introduce yourself. You're a black belt. I don't do that. I should.
I'm sorry. Yeah.
No, it just dawned on me. I am Ben Stark. I am a black belt, 3rd degree, training out of American Top Team Palm Beach Gardens, specializing in mixed martial arts and all general combat. So if you want to learn how to fuck people up, holler at your boy.
Owner of American Top Team Palm Beach Garden. Owner of Fight Tape
as the company.
.us, right?
Yep. .us.
Website.
Head Cutman for the Cutman Pro team down here in the South. Commentator for Combat Night. I'm everywhere.
Yeah, you can't. Just understand, if you follow Ben, he will be everywhere. Every feed, he'll come up on your YouTube. But I love it. You put out that little video complimenting you. I really freaking mean it. If you are either just a jiu-jitsu practitioner or you do MMA, they need to follow you. What were you just showing Christian over here?
Like a head snap misdirect.
Was a kind of an amateur fighter, right? I don't know what he considers himself.
He looks like a full-time model to me.
Yeah.
John Jones, holler at your boy.
But if you do MMA, if you do any type of martial arts, people should follow you. You have a great, again, I love the way you keep it under a minute, you show a move, but you're breaking it down. You break it down really well in just kind of like layman's terms, I guess you would say. Very easy for anybody to understand. Put your foot here, put your arm here. You should be positioned like this. And
that's
I think even
MMA Coach Ben on Instagram.
Even as a black belt, I'm constantly learning. I look at all that stuff.
Yeah.
I think it's great. So great job. Keep it up.
Thanks.
Don't forget to like, comment, save, share, click the subscribe button. We appreciate all of your support. We're just about we're a small podcast. We've been around for 6 years. We're just about to hit like 1 million hours on
viewing hours
on just YouTube.
Okay.
That's
a lot.
That doesn't count the sound downloads, the data from that. So we're like well over 1 million when it comes to watched hours and listened hours on the podcast, which is kind of cool.
Congratulations.
Most podcasts only go a lot of podcasts only go like 12 episodes, if that, people start. Rob from McDojo was talking about, he's like, anybody asked me to be on a podcast, I made a commitment a long time ago to always say yes, is what he said. And then he said, yeah, some of those I'm like the only one. Yeah. Like the first and only podcast.
They just wanted to hang out with the McDojo life guy.
So, when people hear that we've been around 6 years, be like, 6 years, I think it's a great feat. So anyway, we are also brought to you by Academy Safe. Academy Safe is a nonprofit whose mission is to help clean up the martial arts by advocating for background checks, U.S. Center for Safe Sport certifications, and even concussion training for coaches and staff members at every academy throughout the U.S. and Canada. We are already talking to people about expanding outside of the U.S.
Oh, snap.
What? Yep. I'm the founder and executive director. I just mentioned Rob. Rob Ingram is the founder of McDojo Life, and he's our executive VP. I got my fingers crossed that we will have like a little bit of a coming out party at MayaCon in July. Working on,
So I'm
getting
gonna
the
see
table.
you at MayaCon.
You're going to be up there? Yeah. Oh, absolutely. There's the ISKA the couple of days before, so I'm thinking about being up there for the entire 4-day event. Right, I think it's 4 days, or it's 2 days prior.
I mean, it's the World Series. I've been up there before. They have like an ISK Sport MMA room, and we're talking like 50,000 square foot convention halls.
But is it like the open? Is it like
it
considered?
I don't know exactly what's going on at this one, but I've been to them before, and they'll have a convention hall of like kickboxing and then half Muay Thai, and they'll have a convention hall of Sport MMA, and then they'll have a convention hall of like point karate, kata. Dude, there's martial arts games. I'm not sure if you're aware. Like they have like touchdown goalposts and sticks, and if you have the stick, you can kick people, and you can also pick them. It's like they do crazy stuff at these things, but they're very cool.
I'm excited to go up there. Again, we'll be represented as Academy Safe. Hopefully, we'll have a table. Hopefully, some of the board members will be there. We've got some real killers in their own fields. Paul Geller is a litigation attorney. We've got Joe Scargill, who's a Secret Service agent. Me, I'm just some Joe Schmo with a crazy idea. And who else are we missing? Who am I missing? Paul Geller, Joe. Oh, and then Rob. I'm sorry. And Rob. Rob is pretty much definitely going to be there no matter what.
Of course.
So we'll have the table up and running. But check us out at academysafe.org. If you are a coach and you want to get yourself registered, put yourself through a background check. You do not need the owner of your academy to do it first. You can start. We'll list the academy, show that you're a coach. The academy won't get accredited unless they go through the process and get completed.
If a coach gets accredited, they do their own thing. But say they teach
not accredited. A coach is never going to get accredited. Academies get accredited, and we're just checking the certifications or sending you to places to get the certifications that we're looking at to get the academy.
I'm just saying, a coach goes out there on his own or their own, and they do a background check, the AEDs, the first aid, all of it. Do they then get listed just as a coach, or does it say coach at X?
Yeah, currently it shows the academy and the coaches at that academy.
But I'm saying just the coach. Like when I was younger, I coached at 4 different gyms.
Yeah.
So would it say like where I'm at in my profile?
We would find out from them if they have multiple. We will list each of those academies because we want to associate them. In the future, could we just have 8 coaches like checking on the coaches? It kind of defeats the purpose of what we're doing. Great. He's got his accreditations, but there's a felon. The owner's a felon,
that's what I'm saying.
You know what I mean? So we don't want to just be like, oh, he's a good coach, but what about the other 4 coaches that are there? We want you to check on their academy page.
I'm just talking about that one guy.
Yeah. There are lots of coaches that coach at multiple gyms. We would list, we'd get that list from them, and we would show their gym and show that they're a coach, but then we would also list like that the
unaccredited,
this is currently accredited. We might show the coach, and this is all public information, so we can list it, and we would show that they're not accredited, and hopefully that would motivate the actual owner to get accredited or to move forward, right?
It's the future of martial arts.
So I mean, I was saying to myself this morning, I cannot believe that we have to tell people that this is like necessary. It's crazy that we even have to say to somebody, oh, you haven't done most companies do a background check, and you're just going to sit in an office with 10 other people, right?
Yeah.
These people are literally touching your children with jiu-jitsu. It's very intimate. You're laying on top of each other. Don't you want to know who these people are?
Yeah.
I think it's just necessary. So come check us out, hopefully at MayaCon on July 19th and 20th in Orlando, Florida. So we'll leave that there. Matt has been very patient. Today's guest is Matt Guffey. He's a brown belt and strength and conditioning coach. You're coming to us from, are you in Cali?
San Jose, California.
San Jose, California. Welcome, Matt. Thank you for being so patient, man.
Thanks for having me.
How's everything going?
Everything's great. It's a beautiful day here.
Yeah. Early, right?
Was it? It's 9:30.
All right,
so
not too early.
Not too early.
You are friends with our last guest, friends or business associates. You can explain Dr. Diana, Dr. Diana Wang, who was on. She's a doctor of physical therapy. You guys work together, right? Or you've done some stuff together.
In a way. She and I met on Instagram years ago. And we started kind of shooting messages back and forth. I kind of recognized her message as, aligning philosophically with ours. And I wanted to expand our network. So we started doing like Instagram lives together
Okay.
several years ago, where we just talk about jujitsu and strength training and therapy and, everything in between.
Okay.
And we've been friends ever since. Every time she comes up here to the Bay Area, we try to get together, train. We've done a seminar together, like an injury prevention thing here at one of the local academies. So yeah, we go way back.
Yeah, very cool. Very cool. She was a great guest. She was a lot of fun to talk to. We're still promoting that episode. We have a lot of reels and shorts that we're gonna be putting out on that
Cool.
episode. So a lot of good content there. So I know when we spoke, you mentioned that you used to work with the Sharks, right? The NHL team, the Sharks.
I worked for their amateur hockey division. So
Okay.
the top 16 and 18-year-olds
Okay.
for the better part of 4 years.
Yeah.
Many of those kids, I say kids, now they're adults. A lot of them are playing Division I hockey. Some of them just signed pro contracts. Just to give some context around the caliber of player we're talking about here. So yeah, I worked for the Sharks. That's why I moved out to San Jose, and the rest is history.
So were you just working with them on the strength and conditioning,
No,
or
I
do you have
started-
a hockey background as well?
Yeah. So I have a hockey background. I grew up in Virginia playing, and I decided as soon as actually the longer story goes, the first time I touched the ice, I was like, I don't know, 7 or 8. I was in Cub Scouts and I fell, black eye, knocked out a tooth, cried. I was like,
First day?
First day.
That's
I cried.
terrible.
It was a horrible experience. I cried. I was like, I'll never skate again. And then I like swore it off forever. And then we were playing street hockey, and one of the kids that one of the like neighborhood kids was like, let's go to the ice rink. And I didn't want to be the only one that didn't go. So I was like, all right, I guess I'll go. And I got on the ice and I loved it. I had a blast, and I came back and I was like, I want to play hockey. And my parents were like, what? Like, who's this kid? And so they signed me up for a camp. I loved the camp.
Hey, this is after you got a tooth knocked out. You still wanted to play?
Yeah. But I mean, several years later. It's just
Okay.
like,
Dude,
I don't know.
I stopped eating candy because it pulled out a filling. Like, what?
This was,
Man.
so my first experience on the ice, when I got that black eye and stuff, I was probably 7 or 8, and then when I started playing, I was probably 12 or 13. So I don't know, 5 or 6 years had passed.
Okay.
Between the first and the second time I touched the ice, and then I, having started so late, really had to find a way to differentiate myself. And I wasn't the most skilled kid, but I found myself in the gym. Like that's where I made the most progress, and that was what enabled me, I think, to make it to the level that I played at. And I played at the Division III level, NCAA, but nonetheless, like that's 1% of 1% of 1% of hockey players make it to that level, and that's not even all that high. So I fell in love with the gym, and I always had it in my head. I was like, if I don't play professionally and I don't coach professionally, then I'd love to be in the gym. And so that's where the seed was planted really early. I was really fortunate to have a lot of really, really good coaches, and they really inspired me. So when I moved out here to San Jose, I moved out to coach hockey, and I had been coaching skills, skating, shooting, stick handling, things like that, doing clinics and stuff since I was like 16. And so when I moved out here to San Jose, I was probably 24, 25, and started working for the Junior Sharks. And so I was basically coaching. I coached a few teams as an assistant coach my first year, and then I jumped on as a head coach my second year and beyond. And in addition to that, I was coaching, doing more skill work. So again, skating, shooting, stick handling, stuff like that, just one-on-one work. And so that was kind of like where my life was. And then COVID happened, the rink shut down, I, as many of us did, had an existential crisis. It's like, what am I going to do? And that was kind of the impetus for moving from the ice into the gym.
It's amazing, going back to what you said in the beginning, with the tooth. I saw somebody get hit in the head, like in a Major League Baseball game, and I played baseball, and I did not swing my bat for like a whole season because it mortified me watching somebody. I mean, like I got hit in the head, and they took him like off the field, like on a stretcher, and I was like this little kid, like just holding the bat, like petrified that I was about to get beaned. And I swear to God, I didn't swing my bat for almost like a full season because I just got so scared. So getting your tooth knocked out and being like, hey, even if it was a couple of years later, hey, I want to do this thing that knocked my tooth out is like the opposite of what usually happens for a kid. How old were you at the time? How old did you say you were?
For when I got my tooth?
Yeah. And then when you actually started hockey?
7 or 8.
Oh my God, that's usually like you would. Like, most kids would be mortified and never want to play hockey ever.
How fast
again.
does a hockey puck travel on average?
I mean, at the pro level, like
he's asking ChatGPT.
Okay, I was gonna say
it's
80s, like 90s, some over 100.
Yeah,
60 to 80 on like a pass and 100 plus on like a shot.
Yeah.
And did you get hit with? Like I know people get hit in the face with pucks.
Well, I mean, pucks, right? Sticks, bodies.
Oh, come on.
I was worried about pucks, not dicks, but
did we say no sticks? I didn't say dicks.
I was like, where is this going?
You might not know this, but Milton's played sports his whole life.
Okay. So, I have a story about that. When I first got my tooth knocked out, I just fell on the ice. I mean, I was 7 or 8, whatever it was. I didn't know what I was doing, and I was, slipping around and just fell and cracked myself.
Okay.
But my last year of junior hockey is like your kind of an intermediary step in between youth and college hockey. Most college hockey freshmen, or most freshmen who play college hockey are 20, 21 years old. And they don't start at the typical 18, right? They play 2 or 3 years of junior hockey in between.
Okay.
And so my last year of junior hockey, I was playing in Texas, and it was the first year I was able to wear a visor. And so I was wearing a visor.
Wait, you can't just wear a visor?
No, I mean, in youth hockey, you wear a cage.
Okay.
And then in some junior leagues, you can wear a visor. And then now in the NHL, you have to wear a visor. You can't go just helmet and nothing on. You have to have something covered.
Kind of a good idea.
But just the eyes.
Yeah, kind of a good idea. Yeah. So anyways, my first year wearing a visor, and I'll spare you the details of the situation, but I was skating one way, a teammate was skating the other way, and they shot the puck. It was maybe going 10 feet wide of me, and it went off of an opponent's stick and then directly into my mouth.
Jesus
and it shattered my jaw, my nose.
All right, I'm out of here, guys.
Yeah, no hockey for me.
I had stage 4 trauma in 2 of my teeth. What that means is the roots were completely snapped, but they were still in my gums. So like I was a complete like severance of the root.
When you said stage 4 trauma, I thought we were talking about girlfriends all the
same. So
we could talk about that later. He's like, we'll talk about that one later.
That sigh was a dramatic sigh.
No, I'm happily married.
They're great. I swear.
I had it split my lip so far wide open that I could close my mouth and see my teeth.
Oh my God.
Do you at least have a cool scar?
It's under my facial hair.
Man, that's enough reason to shave, bro.
So yeah, it's pretty brutal, but I will say this. I did everything I could to finish that game. They forced me to go to the hospital.
What a man.
I did not miss a game. I played every game thereafter. I just put a cage on and went for it.
Yeah, I would wear the cage. So, okay, here's a question I've had. Do hockey teams hire boxing coaches? You know what I'm saying? Because
no.
Scrapping's part of the game at this point, right?
Yeah.
I remember reading in Mick Foley's book back in like the 90s. He was doing a press tour and he went to the NHL. And he was talking to the guys and watched 2 players like literally go, "Hey man, third quarter." And they're like, "Yeah man, see you there." And he's like, "Oh buddy." And he's like, "No, we're gonna fight." And he's like, Why? It's like, well, that's kind of what the fans are viewing for. They want to see it.
I want to see it.
It's definitely part of it. It's becoming a smaller part of the game now.
That's good.
Yeah, it is. I mean, people are coming out now. All the stuff around CTE, and they're learning that it is probably not the best for your long-term health.
Maybe.
How is there a difference in the junior hockey, like the junior leagues, and in college? Like, is it like I can't say that I've watched like college games.
In junior hockey, fighting is more prevalent than in college.
Oh, really? I thought it was going to be the opposite. Like, it's completely banned.
A bunch of 17-year-old kids. Oh, yeah. Testosterone's at an all-time high.
College hockey, I would say it's a rarity.
Really?
And if it ever happens, there's a scrum and people are throwing, but you have to wear a cage in college.
Okay.
But in junior hockey, it's a little bit more fast and loose. So
okay. I got a couple more fighting hockey questions. One, why are people punching people in helmets with bare hands? That's stupid. And then two, why do they take the gloves off? Just keep the glove on. Protect your hand.
The helmet thing, they're not allowed to take their helmets off anymore. They used to take the helmets off, and obviously
slammed on the ice,
their heads cracked on the ice. So they said, okay, well, you got to keep your helmet on. If your helmet comes off in the middle of the thing, then it comes off and they let them keep going. But as far as the leave the gloves on thing, I mean, I think it has to do with just the dexterity. It's not easy to grab things when you've got a glove on like that.
Throw off one, grab
So I did a lot. I played a lot of street hockey as a kid, and we would wear the ice hockey. Like, we wore just about everything ice hockey, and then there were like street hockey pads. I remember getting into fights and punching with that glove is just like, there's so much padding on that glove. Like, you're not really doing any damage, even if he doesn't. Not a lot. I mean, you're still going to hit somebody, but like two kids hitting each other.
Those things are pretty hard.
Well, I mean, but that padding on the glove is pretty thick. And then it's not like super, like, like with wraps, it's nice and tight. Like, that glove is not super tight in there, and you're not wearing a wrap to make it tight. True. You know what I mean? So I know, I mean, it's, that might be part of it.
Yeah.
I'll defer to the pro.
Nah, I mean, that's probably it. I don't know.
Now, have you seen that BKFC is now starting a new show called Hockey Fight?
Is it on the ice?
But
they're on skates, on the ice, in jerseys. Go.
Helmets or no?
No. I think it's BKFC just on skates.
On skates. Yeah, everything about that is fine to me. I mean, BKFC is.
You can do what you want, but
it's hitting your head on the ice that would worry me.
Yeah.
Right? Look at Matt's face, right? Yeah, that's the part. I could take a punch in the face, but it's different when 230 pounds slamming to the ice is not going to be fun.
True.
Yeah. And by the way, Matt, I'm sorry I didn't during your intro. Brown belt in Jiu Jitsu.
Brown belt. Yep.
You're a brown belt in Jiu Jitsu. Are you mostly gi, no gi?
Now, no gi. I was a gi guy for 8.5 years, and then I fell in love with no gi, and I seldom train in the gi.
You're doing it wrong. As you get older, you go back into the gi.
Oh, it'll happen.
It has to. You're gonna wake up one day, some kid's gonna cartwheel past, and you're gonna go, "Yeah, I'm gonna slow things down."
That is the beauty of it.
I noticed that my joints started to feel a lot better when I went to no-gi. My hips,
really?
My knees, my fingers, everything started to feel better.
Okay, fingers for sure. Sure.
Why do you think? What is it?
I mean, there's something to say about the friction, right? You get caught in a bad position in the gi, and it's really tough to get out. But in no-gi, you can kind of slip your way, and it's a little bit easier to escape. So I think
keyword easier
to escape. Easier to escape, harder to
way harder to finish because everyone's all lubed up.
But we all know jiu-jitsu does not work on the streets, right? We know that, right? So and most of the time you're going to be in closed jeans,
right?
So isn't jiu-jitsu more realistic?
If you live in the north, someplace that snows or gets fall temperatures, you could definitely make the argument that gi is more practical because at least half the year people are wearing coats.
Yeah, but not here in down here in Miami.
No, down here maybe a little more no-gi. Though I will say, when I was a bouncer, I was strangling people with T-shirts. Oh, it's so good.
Yeah.
The grip is so easy.
Yeah. Just getting.
Bro, you just put a thumb in.
Yeah.
And then you like cut the hash. Nice.
Yeah.
I would never do this.
Yeah, of course not. If you were, you meant to say if you were a bouncer.
I'm just saying there might have been a moment of time. I plead the fifth.
Lies. Hey, hold on one second. We're gonna get into Eco Jiu-Jitsu, but
Yeah.
I did forget to. I want to shout out. They are Neutral Zone is not a sponsor. They were a sponsor. My company, Black Belt, built their website. So if you order from their site, it's actually, we manage their site. But we're always talking about, we had the wipe, we ran out of the wipes, right? So when we come in, even though Christian says he's cleaned everything, like I always clean the earphones. Just habit. I sit down.
You can't trust Christian.
We had the tube of Neutral Zone, right? But I've talked about when I spray my belt. This is what I spray. This is actually from my gym bag. Neutral Zone body spray, right? I spray my instead of washing my belt every time, I spray my belt. I actually have a bag that I put it's actually a bag that you're supposed to throw in the wash, but I put my belt and my gi top in it. When I take out my belt and I take out the gi top and wash it, I hang that bag and I hang my belt in the bathroom and I spray them both down with this. Every once in a while I might use Lysol, but
Do you want
one in my bag and I have one in my, no, I'm just doing the shout out. Okay. We'll ask him later. And then I also, I keep one in my bag and I keep one in the bathroom where I hang it, right? So then they also sent me, we always talk about it, we always give them a shout out. This, legit, this is exactly what I use. And even when I get off the mat, I usually spray it in my hand. After I take off my gi top, I wipe my face. I'm like, I take a towel, I wipe everything off. So I use this all the time. There's a refill.
Can you his gym and get a video of that?
There's a refill. So I just refill the bottles and then again take it to the gym. So I just wanted to give them a shout out on that. So this is like my 1-2 punch of what I do. They send me, I've had this before. I've had the soap. I've had the shower gel. This is their new shower gel. This is peppermint. I've just been using this. I only use this after training. So after jiu-jitsu training. So I use this, get the yuckies off, right? Right. All natural, paraben free, non-toxic, plant-based. So just wanted to give them a proper shout out. It's sitting behind me on the shelf up there. But thank you to Mike and Candy for sending me the bottle. It was amazing. Smell that. Actually, really, really cool.
I love pepper.
You get out of the shower. I smell it. Like I wake up in the morning, and I can smell it on my.
And it makes your naughty bits tingle.
I don't do it for that part, but yeah, this is absolutely when I say that I use it. I mean, look, you can see this is in my bag. You can see I've had it forever. Yeah, and then definitely highly recommend the shower gel. They have a bunch of different scents, but this was their brand new one. They asked me to. I freaking love it. Send more. I'm running out of my refills. And wipes.
MMA Coach Ben on Instagram.
Thank you. I just wanted to give them, I was going to shout them out at the beginning of the episode. But so Matt, let's talk a little bit about you. What is this like one, other than gi and, no gi, like gi versus no gi, this whole ecological jiu-jitsu thing came up. What is your take on this world? I know, again, you've trained, or do you currently train with Josh Beam, who's been on the show?
Yep.
Right.
One of my main training partners. He's been, we've been training together now for probably the last 5 years.
Okay. I think we called him when we interviewed him. I don't know if I think the name might have come from his side, but they were calling him like the Jiu-Jitsu Nomad.
He was a Jiu-Jitsu nomad for a little while. He's back here in the Bay, though.
He took like one whole year. Go back and listen to that. If you search Jiu-Jitsu Dummies and Josh Beam, you'll see it on YouTube or on Apple or wherever you get your podcast. Great episode. He took a year. He didn't leave his job. I think he's able to work remotely. So I think he's like a programmer or something, if I'm not mistaken.
He was. Yeah, he
was.
Leave his job after
okay.
Is he that blue belt, purple belt kid who just traveled around and competed everywhere? He was
that blue belt. He traveled. Yeah. Great content. He's got great insight on jiu-jitsu.
Yeah. I've watched him before.
He went around like he was like, I think he pretty much did the IBJJFs. He might have done an ADCC here and there.
He just did IBJJF.
Yeah. But when we interviewed him, I think again at Blue Belt, he had traveled the country for a year just
Mhm.
going around doing like
Travel
every
the world.
competition. Travel the world. That's right. Yeah, you're right.
Europe, Asia.
Yeah.
You know, he was all over the place.
Yeah, and he just fell in love with jiu-jitsu, and then he was again working remotely.
That's awesome.
And I guess now per Matt here, he's I guess he's left the 9 to 5, and I think are you guys doing does he do a pod? You guys do a podcast together, right?
We had a podcast. Thanks for rolling.
Had or have
hiatus.
Okay.
I mean, I guess technically it's still live.
Okay.
We haven't filmed an episode in a while, but
okay.
You know,
Time or just
time.
Money sponsor.
He left.
I've been there.
I can't stop in the middle of wrestling season and just go get a hip replacement is what the doctors want to do. I don't have time to take off. Since going to La Heel, my knee pain is 100% gone. I couldn't even run from here to the door over there. And then after completing the peptide treatment, I can run miles now. Anybody that wants to stay active, anyone that's involved with a sport, anyone that has young kids, and you want to avoid, number one, the cost of surgery, the rehab from surgery, La Heel is the place to go.
Unlock the power of your online presence with Black Belt Digital Marketing. Their reputation management program ensures your Google business profile is seen by more potential customers. Black Belt Digital Marketing is your full-service digital marketing agency specializing in local SEO and reputation management. Boost your business today. Visit bbdigitalmarketing.com. Your success is their priority.
He left his job, right? He left his programming job and his full-time YouTube. So I don't blame him. I mean, you know, he's got to allocate his time and resources to making YouTube videos. And,
Sure.
Nope, you got to tell him you're more important.
But
respect yourself, King. Respect
let
yourself.
him know. I just shared it. I'm very open with like what we've done and how we get sponsors and things like that. I have like a 2-page. Really, I keep it on my phone because then I just send it through Instagram and send it to like just by text when somebody reaches out to talk to me about sponsoring. But I can send it to you guys. Like take it, model something after that to ask for. I don't know if he's asking for sponsors, but I mean the money in this world is not coming from the platforms. The money is in the product deals, the brand deals. People would call it. For us, it's sponsors, sponsor deals, getting products. You know, all that's helpful. Most of the product we get, I usually give it out. I'll test it, give it out to people if I get a lot. But you know, we've done it both ways. But yeah, I mean, if you guys, I have no problem sharing it. I'll send it to you. You can, you know, model something after that just to, you know, and if you need help designing it, I'd love to, you know, offer that service for free just to you guys, just to, you know, maybe, you know, design it for you. And again, most like Instagram is the place where we get like all of our, it's where we've been the kind of the most popular in the like the conversations and getting sponsors and people reaching out to us. So anyway, yeah, if you guys need any help with that, I'm an open book with that kind of stuff. But you know, there's a way to do it, and there's you know, can't be shy to ask. Again, I haven't talked to Josh since he's been on, so I'm not sure what he's doing. But just depending on the YouTube money is difficult. You know, there needs to be some brand deals and you know, and sponsorship. So, but go on. So you guys, so you're still training together.
Yep. We still train together. We probably train, I'd say on average, I don't know, 4 or 5 times a week together. At various locations. We both, you know, I don't want to speak for Josh, but it's at this point common knowledge that he left CTA. He left maybe about a year and a half ago almost.
Okay.
And so he left first and then was kind of, you know, doing his own thing. And he and I would train still, you know,
sure,
at different times, places, whatever, open mats. And then in September of last year, I left CTA, and then he and I just started branching out. We started training with friends, people that we had met, you know, at different academies throughout the Bay Area, and building a sort of collective, if you will.
Okay.
And then that kind of blossomed into, you know, one of the people that we were training with regularly came to us and was like, I want to compete next month and I want you to coach me. And I was like, you need to talk to your coach. I don't want anything to do with the politics here. I'm not asking you to join me or do any of this. And he was like, no, I kind of want to go rogue like you guys. I was like, okay. And so that was kind of the precursor to Victory Submission Grappling, which is Victory Submission Strength's grappling offshoot.
Okay. So you guys have your own gym, or is that like under somebody else's? You
Yeah, we
have that
don't
name,
have,
but you train someplace?
yeah, we don't have a physical location yet, but the
Okay.
plan is to eventually merge the two, have strength and conditioning and jujitsu under one roof. If you
Okay.
So you guys don't have a grading professor in this moment, or like I guess an open and public facility. You're doing it like garage style, or you got like a warehouse setup.
We have a black belt who, we've been training with and was open to being like our head professor. Um, and but yeah, it's like more or less kind of garage style. We are fortunate enough that we've, over the years made a lot of really solid connections again here in the Bay Area. So, you know, me as a gym owner or as a strength and conditioning gym owner for jiu-jitsu athletes, I've done seminars at, I don't know,
Mm-hmm.
20 or 30 schools around the Bay Area. And, you know, over the course of several years, built really good relationships with the owners of those schools. And, there's a couple of them here very close by that are kind enough to let us use the space when nobody else is there.
Oh,
So that we can train and explore and, learn what works for us, what doesn't work for us, and, how we want to grow the business. And we're not like,
how does that work for you guys? Like, are you charging membership fees
No.
So
no,
it's just
we just,
come as you are. If you're the homie, you're the homie. Come
Yeah.
on in.
for now. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, eventually when we get a space, we're going to need to pay for it somehow.
Yeah, rent's
So,
rent.
But for right now, like I said, that's why I call it a collective, because we've just got like a WhatsApp group and we put the times, dates, locations in there like every week. We're just like, hey, this time, this location, come train. And if people put a thumbs up, then we go. And we have had groups as small as 1 and as big as 15, 20 people. So, it's growing, which is fun.
Can I ask a question about CTA? You're saying CTA that's Kyotera Association?
Yeah.
Kyotera.
Yeah,
Are you able to talk about why you left? Is there a reason behind why you left, or if that's something you don't want to talk about, we can move on?
Well, we can call it creative differences.
As someone who left their gym and then started Academy Safe, I'm
Right.
Kind of interested on what goes on out there. So I'm not saying that they have that they did anything wrong, but it does pique my curiosity.
Yeah, I mean the biggest I was not happy with the way the personnel was managed. There were instances of what I believe to be nefarious behavior, and when it came out that was happening, things were just kind of swept under the rug, and that didn't sit well with me.
Sure.
The second piece was my business's proximity to theirs. I think management was under the impression that I was trying to steal business, but in reality, we don't do the same thing. Like they've got a CrossFit gym in their facility, and my gym is like highly tailored personal training. It's so different.
Injury prevention or I want to compete and I need to, work on very specific strength.
Yeah, this is not just like meant to get a sweat going, right? Like we're very targeted. We've got a thorough assessment process that everybody goes through. Every program is personalized. There's, we have coaches who walk everybody through their program, from A to Z.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just, they're completely different offerings, different price points, just nobody from my gym is ever going to go to the CrossFit gym there, and nobody from the CrossFit gym is going to come to my, I get that.
And the strength and conditioning side, you have a physical location for that? You already have it? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yeah. And it's right around the corner from CTA. So, it had come out that they weren't happy with so I was the uke in the morning class for, I don't know, 7 years. Since I got my blue belt, I was, the one there kind of demonstrating with the coaches. And I think it had come out that they thought my being the uke was bringing undue attention to my business, which
God forbid a student is successful in something and something tangentially associated
It's some what's it
with
called?
what you're doing.
Was it starvation mentality stuff over there?
Yeah, I was really hurt to hear that, actually. That really, it hurt because I had poured so much time and effort and love and care and everything into CTA, right? Like I can't even begin to tell you the number of times we didn't have somebody working the front desk. I signed somebody up, right? Like I don't work there. I don't get paid.
Never got paid. Never got paid that while you were there.
No,
You were
I never asked for money or anything. I just, that wasn't, I'm there at the 6 a.m. class. Somebody shows up. They're like, it's my first day. I'm like, all right, here's a waiver. Here's the thing.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Did this man just say 6 a.m. class?
Bruh. There's a great, there's a great video I'm going to share with you about the 6 a.m. Trying to recruit people to the 6 a.m. class.
Jiu Jitsu Weasel one, yeah.
There's a guy. The guy's in the car and he's making those faces. Is that what? I don't know. Is that the handle? Jiu Jitsu Weasel.
Jiu Jitsu Weasel. Yeah, he's funny.
That is a great freaking video of of us all lying to people to get them to go to their early class.
You're like voluntarily waking up at 5:15.
I wish.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm a morning person for sure.
I love early morning training on the weekend. Yeah. But when I have to, if early morning training to then work a full day is very difficult for me. I want to take a nap after jiu-jitsu or pretty soon after it. It's usually jiu-jitsu, come back, have breakfast, and then probably nap for at least a half hour after jiu-jitsu. So I can't do it. What'd you say?
I want to take a nap, period. Yeah. Just at all.
He owns 50 businesses. He's a serial entrepreneur over here.
Oh, yeah. Dude, the bags under my eyes. Oh.
Yeah.
So did you ever my first gym, I was there for 2 years. I never paid a dime because we exchanged marketing services. I built a website. I did marketing. Then I started to coach as a white belt. I was helping. I was in my 40s already, so it wasn't like a little kid, irresponsible. I had the keys to the place right away. It's a family friend. So it was actually a friend of my wife's family. So I met him and we hit it off and we became like really tight right away. But I never paid because, then when I was a coach and, all the marketing stuff was kind of done, I wound up being there every day and he just never took my money. Did that happen? Were you a paying student and you were you're working there, whether you're an uki or you're helping at the front desk, whatever it is, you're still working there?
Yeah, I mean,
He's the Brazilian way, bro. He's the way. You're never gonna get the good jiu-jitsu if you are not paid for the lesson.
No, I paid the whole time that I was there, and even through the pandemic and everything, when everything was closed and we weren't able to do anything. I first canceled, and then I thought about it, and I was like, no, I would want somebody to support me, so I went ahead and continued to pay throughout the pandemic. So that one kind of stung. That hurt to hear.
Well, how long? So California was shut down 2 years.
Man, it's all a big blur now. I don't.
But really dude, if they're shut down and you're paying for the whole 2 years,
basically, how long could you not
when
do
you come
jiu-jitsu?
back? Oh,
how long could you not do jiu-jitsu before it was just like, all right, we can actually open and not get in trouble for this?
I mean, that depends on who you're asking.
Yeah. I mean, in Florida, my school,
8 weeks.
They put up, it was just like a couple of weeks. I blew out my knee right at the day before we were going into quarantine, so I wound up being out 9 months. I had to be out 9 months. So they just went hand in hand. So it was kind of like, if it had to happen, this is the time. But probably after like 2 months, garbage bags on the window, black garbage bags on the window, and they were training in there. And people got promoted. People got promoted. We came back and we were like, when did you get promoted to brown belt or to black belt? And so anyway, I'm like, down here, it was just hidden. And you didn't get in trouble. It's kind of like after a while, it was like, well, if, just don't throw it in everybody's face. Don't post about it. Like nobody posted that they trained today, but they were training. So was it something like that? Like, well, can we go back? So let's train until we get in trouble.
I can't say where or when or with whom, but I can say that I never stopped training. The frequency definitely went down.
Yeah.
And we tried our best to like keep things, we try to keep it kosher. So we tried to stay in the same pod. So you could only train with like, these 10 people. And if one of you got sick, the whole pod was out for,
Okay.
you know,
Yeah.
That makes
a couple weeks.
sense.
So we tried to like mitigate risk as best we could. And listen, we never had a huge super spreader or anything like that. You know, some people got sick here and there, but by and large, people get sick here and there.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to take away from the gravity of the situation. Obviously, a lot of
Yeah.
people died, and that's a huge loss. But
Jiu-jitsu for life.
no, I mean, we did what we had to do to keep our sanity. And the other thing that people maybe don't realize listening to this, unless they're in California or especially in Northern California, is as the pandemic was happening, we also had raging wildfires like miles from our house.
Oh, wow.
So the sky was just red for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks. And everything was closed and everybody was walking around in masks. And it looked like something out of Blade Runner. Honestly, it was.
So how was
really-
your first taste of Armageddon?
it was eerie. It was very, very strange to like, I live right near one of the major highways here, and you know, we can like walk over it. And I remember walking outside one day, it's all red. You can't see, you know, 15 feet in front of you because of the smoke. And I look out on the highway and nothing is happening. There's like nobody. And I was like, this is the strangest feeling, honestly.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, just with regards to jiu-jitsu, we did what we had to do to maintain our sanity.
So-
And you know, I knew if I wasn't training, I was going to go nuts. So
I want to go back to something that you said earlier, and I really honestly mean, if you don't feel like you want to go into it, just we can move on. But as someone who is trying to help with Academy safety, with Academy Safe and improve safety and keep the creepers out of these gyms, you used the word nefarious before when you described the gym. Can you elaborate on that? And again, if you don't want to, we'll move on.
man, that's tough. I'm hesitant to cause any problems, but at the same
Too
time,
late.
yeah,
No, I'm just kidding. I mean, it's where you know. Again, we can move on. I don't want to press you. I usually tell people if there's anything you don't want to talk about it, that's fine. But again, as someone who's running an organization to try to clean up this little world of ours, not just jiu-jitsu, really all of martial arts, because it's happening everywhere. You know, I'd be remiss not to ask you about
I'll
that.
say this is there were at least one coach was using his position as a black belt to coerce certain behavior from female students
Okay.
of his.
Adult students or
Adult
minor students.
yeah.
Okay.
Adult students. Yeah.
Okay.
And then was banished to Brazil and then is now back, but not in California. So I'll let people, I mean.
Did the authorities get involved? Or the authorities involved? Or was it just like
no.
kept on the route?
It was all, you know, there were text messages sent, and then somebody, you know, another woman from the gym found out and then brought it to the attention of management. Management kind of swept it under the rug, and it came up again, and it happened several times. Then finally they were like, all right, we can't, this is not okay. And I think they said this is not okay, but then he left for Brazil mysteriously. Nothing was said about it.
Yeah.
It was never addressed. He just disappeared one day, and then several months later was back in the States. And you know, so it's
so sometimes what happens is they might, he went to Brazil, so he's probably a Brazilian citizen, maybe not a U.S. citizen and here on a work visa.
Is
that possible, right? So what happens is that the coach might have revoked. Like, you have to have a business sponsor. From what I understand, I am not an immigration attorney. From what I understand, because my old school had a revolving door of Brazilians coming in and then going back, and it would be he would revoke his sponsorship or no longer sponsor the visa, and then they had X amount of time to leave. So they might have pulled their sponsorship or reported that they don't want him here, and then you have a certain. I don't know if they give you time to find another job, or then you have to go, or you have to go back, get responsored, get another visa, and come back and do your paperwork all over again. I don't think that's just transferable.
No.
But like again, I'm very open about it. am I pissed about having to leave my gym? Yes. I started a whole freaking nonprofit because of it, because I got such a bug up my ass about like, really, we're letting this happen. But, you know, my old coach was hitting on the wives and girlfriends of his male students, you know, dating and, you know, having sex. I mean, I have the receipts. Is that what the kids say? Right. Is that what you kids say, Christian? I got the receipts. I mean, I've got text messages just like back to back to back to back of people saying like, and he did this and he did this. And like, and some of the girls trained at the gym go, oh, are you just finding out about that now? That's been going on since you were here, since before you were here. Oh, so just like sleeping with students, students' wives and girlfriends. I mean, look, I was going to say, when you said it may not be illegal, but it was morally wrong. And definitely you break the trust of your male students. You know, you find out. I mean, one of my very good friends, his wife was, you know, I call it being groomed. You can understand the grooming process of him reaching out, talking, chatting, seeing if there's an opening, and then looking for a date or like, hey, let's get together kind of situation. Right. So yeah, I mean, it happened in my school, so I'm very open about it. I don't say his name, and I don't say the gym. I don't say the gym name, and I don't say his name. But you know, nothing ever is gone on the internet, and you can go see who it is. Yep. You know, but you know, I feel for you. I mean, it sucks to have to leave the gym under those circumstances, and it's always the one thing that bothers me the most is losing the relationships of the people that did stay. That no one stayed. Everybody has a reason. I stayed after I knew some things. There was one thing that came out that I was just like, that's just too far. I'm out of here. Like certain allegations that came out. But that's the part that sucks the most, is that I lost most of those friendships of the people that stayed, because it's like you either choose me or the coach, and the coach isn't going to let you, like, he's going to give him shit. That's just the kind of person he was, is he's going to give them shit for still communicating with me. You're sleeping with the enemy.
But you don't really need that person in your life anyway.
I missed my training part. I was really close. Like, we were like going to concerts, going to parties, drinking, you know, watching the UFCs. Like, those were my boys, and they're all gone. Yeah, not one of them. They barely hear from them. You know, so that's the part that sucks the most. Gang. Yeah, that's what sucks the most. But I'm in a place where they went through our process, got accredited. They're an academy safe. They were one of our first in Florida. Ben hopefully is going to be the second in Florida. But we've got accredited academies throughout the country now. People going through the process. So I'm in a great school. They took to it real quick. Like, yeah, we want to do that. And funny enough, is like the coaches there knew what was going on in my school. It's like it's a well-known secret. Yeah, you know, which sucks. But again, you know, I feel that's the part that got me the most, is like, you know, you lose these people that you're so close with. It's like, really, I never told anybody they had to choose between me and him, but obviously he's gonna, you know, he sees you in a picture with me. You're sleeping with the enemy who's talking about me doing these things. You know, so right. That definitely sucked. Leaving any gym sucked. But I'm at my third gym in 12 years. You know, I thought I was always proud to say I've only been at 2, and the first one closed, so it's not like I left. You know, you know, it sucks, man. It sucks to have to go through this. But you know, one of the things I always say is, like, a black belt doesn't make you a good person. Being a good person makes you a good person, right? So we automatically assume, oh, you own a gym and you've done this and you have these accolades, and you know, you've competed, and you know, and for some that goes to their head, and some just really want to be good people and give back.
I blame 70s martial arts movies. The honorable master. Oh, my master, he functions with such honor.
Yeah. You know? That is not what's going on here, man. I mean, I tell people all the time, just Google the words martial arts and sexual assault. Just Google that. Martial arts, sexual assault. It's disgusting. I mean, it's ridiculous that what goes on a weekly basis.
Have you ever watched McDojo's live coverage of these? Hours upon hours.
I know. I watched the full 1 hour breakdown of the LeClaire martial arts situation that happened up there.
Can we dorm storm? Can we like gym storm?
Sure, you can.
Let's go.
I watched that whole 1 hour breakdown. There are basically 3 different adults that. Yeah. Well, you know, the owner had been accused of rape in the 90s, or got convicted of rape. Convicted of rape. The son is now has molested like tens of people. It's like the number's pretty. One of them is higher. 43. And then there was a younger kid who had gotten in trouble for some stuff as well, and he got in trouble as well. So there's 3 child predators 3 in the same, within the same, like, system. So 6 in that area in upstate New York. So, I mean, it's just crazy, but it's just, if you search McDojo and then Leclerc's Lecler, Leclerc without the K, Leclerc's though, I guess you would say it. Google that, search that on YouTube and watch it. It's chilling. It's ridiculous. Rob interviewed like the girlfriends of this guy back then.
No kidding.
And like one of the moms, I believe it was, like one of the moms that coach in the 90s got pregnant, like one of the young 16-year-old girls that he got pregnant then, like I believe she was one of the interviewees. Crazy. Yeah, he's been doing this. Yeah, he had me sit. The woman said he had me sitting. I'm sorry to go so deep into this, but I was sitting. The one girl said he had me sit in the car with my son while another woman came over, and he was obviously having sex with her. And then I think he got that woman pregnant, a young girl again, like another teen. You got to watch it. I hope I'm doing it justice, but basically they're all dirtbags. So it's just crazy what goes on in this world. And again, I can't believe like there's no government oversight. We're not asking for government oversight, but because there's none, somebody's got to do something. And I figure, this is where Academy Safe comes in. But there are no federal regulations that say that a martial arts studio, aftercare, there are local rules for getting stuff, getting your certifications and things like that. Mm-hmm. But there's nothing that's specific to martial arts. So if you're a martial arts gym, great. If you introduce or say you have an aftercare program in some areas, then you have to do background checks of all your staff members, but usually they don't do all the staff members. And one of the things even though we only background check people over 18, you do have kids that are teenagers that come up through the kids program, and then things are also potentially happening, with, somebody who turns 17 and then they're dating they're dating the young girl in the class. And it's like, there's nobody doing anything. So at very least, I hope that we're shining a spotlight on this, and that I would love to not have to do this. It's not like I, wake up in the morning, ooh, can't wait to see who I can background check today. We want to, but I just wish it was, yes, it would be great if the government came in and said, all martial arts studios, you have to do this for every staff member, at least again, over 18. Mm-hmm. But it pains me to know that the art that's supposed to teach you how to protect yourself against these assholes are like some of the biggest offenders. Yeah. You're bringing your kids in. At the end of the day, I just tell people, when it comes to kids, do not leave your kids alone with anybody, even at the martial arts academy. Like, stay, watch class, take them when they leave. Never send a child with a coach to an away tournament. Just don't. That's it. Those are 2 ways that you can make sure that nobody's messing with your kid. Yeah. But so that sucks, Matt.
That was that was definitely a major piece of the puzzle. Obviously there was like the business thing, and then that, and then the third, actually, just to circle all the way back to the original question, was kind of the philosophical shift in how I feel I learn best. And that's where the whole ecological dynamics or constraints load approach.
So explain to me exactly what ecological jiu-jitsu is in your own words. I've watched, I've seen, I understand, but I mean, I think that people on the traditional side might just be like, yeah, we call that positional sparring. What are you talking about? That's been around, right? Like, I mean, that's the argument. Like, we've been doing that already. Mm-hmm. Tell me what ecological jiu-jitsu is to you, or give me the definition as you see it.
Yep. So ecological dynamics is just a framework that basically states we are affected by our environment, right? Both internal and external. So how many hours I slept last night? Am I properly fueled? Am I dehydrated? The sweat on your skin, your own physical attributes, right? Or your physical qualities. How strong are you? How fast are you? What do you have? Higher propensity for, very good mobility. All of those things come into play. And then it could be like external. Is it hot out, cold out? Your opponent, all of the things that I just mentioned, but for them, any number of things. So that's all. When people say ecological dynamics, that's what they're talking about, is that we're dynamic systems that are affected by our environment, and we, change our behavior based on those things.
Okay. So I come into if I come into, I'm sorry to interrupt you, and we can go back to exactly where you are, but I walk into a class with you. I was at my school last night. We run for 5 minutes. We line up. We did crunches. We did push-ups. We did squats. We all line up. Then we're doing forward rolls. We're doing all that traditional stuff. When I show up at your school, I'm 5 minutes early. I'm probably going to stretch. What am I doing when the clock strikes 7 for my adult class at night? If I'm in your class, what is the ecological approach? What am I doing next? What's the first thing that we're going to be doing?
Yeah, so we call it play the whole game.
Okay.
And so essentially what we're doing is we're going to break down, we'll say there's like standing scenarios, there's guarded and passing scenarios, and there's pinning and submission scenarios. Submission is just like the ultimate pin, right?
Okay.
So you have those 3 broad scenarios that can happen. And so we're going to start with some kind of standing engagement, right? That doesn't mean we never pull guard. You still have to start standing even if you're going to pull guard. We do some kind of standing engagement. So one of our favorites is we call the game circles. And I don't remember if this is a Greg Souders game or a Kevon Gonzalez game.
I've seen it from Kevon.
Yeah, Kevon. Yeah. I think Kevon's where I heard it from, but I don't know if he got it from Greg or whatever. But so circles, one of our favorite games. We'll play that to start. Working on hand fighting, getting inside position, connecting our hands around our opponent. Is our connected hands necessary to take somebody down always? No, but most of the time, yes. And if you can connect your hands around your opponent, your chances of taking them down obviously are much higher. So, that's just one example of how we might warm up is through games like that. And then obviously
what's the game part though? Because I've done that too. We break grips. We do that. We don't call it circle game, but
game is the restrictions placed upon you and your goals.
What it is like, okay, I've connected my hands, restart. Like when we call it a game, like I don't understand why is that a game? I did that too. I did that not last night, but we do that too as a warm up. I'm not understanding what's the difference then.
So the difference, the game is there's a win condition.
And by the way, I'm very open to this. I'm asking the questions that I think a lot of people are asking. I'm not like, ecological, it's just bullshit. I don't believe that, even though I might post like that once in a while, like just because it's a joke.
Okay.
But go on.
So what makes it a game is that there's a win condition, right?
That's the part. Okay, yeah, okay.
If I connect my hands around my opponent, then I win the game.
Okay.
So, I think where it changes is in the intensity. So if we're just like, hey, just go easy and break grips and, do this or whatever, at the end of the day, that's not going to translate as well because the game is played at full speed and full intensity and nobody's going to just let you break their grips, right?
Okay.
So the game is full intensity right away. And we tell people, a lot of people will ask, they'll say, well, how intense should this be? 50%, 60%? The problem with answering that question with a percent is your 60 might be different from mine.
Sure.
Different from Ben's. And who's to say, right? The age old joke is, everybody wants to flow roll until somebody gets an advantage.
Mm-hmm.
And then the intensity just spikes.
Sure.
Right. So we tell people you should use as much or be as intense as you need or use as much intensity or speed or power or strength or whatever to accomplish the task, right? Whatever that means to you. So if you're going with a white belt, obviously it's going to take a lot less for you.
No, I go harder on the white belts, especially if they're on their trial. Their trial week? No, I'm just kidding.
But it'll be easier for you to achieve the win condition, right?
Sure.
It'll be much harder for them, right? That's fine.
Sure.
But again, somebody that's your skill level, your size, your strength, your speed, right? You're gonna have to work a lot harder to get that win. So I think that's where the difference lies, is that we define the win condition and then we set people loose and say, okay, like do what you got to do to win the game.
Okay. All right. What are we doing next?
If we want to work more on stand-up stuff, we could, go one step further and say, okay, we'll start with our hands connected around our opponent in one way, shape, or form. Doesn't matter if it's around the leg, around both legs, around, the waist, could be head and arm. And we could say, okay, now the win condition for the attacking player is to get the other player's hands, knees, or hips to the ground, right? Because if I can get your hands, knees, or hips to the ground, then I can finish the takedown. And I can get on top, right? And then we would say the win condition for the defending player is simply to disengage, right?
Okay.
That's just one example. It doesn't have to be that way, but that's one way that we could, elaborate on the standing engagement.
Okay.
How restrictive do you like to get when you're setting up your game?
Depends on who's in the room. Depends on who's in the room. If somebody, and it depends on where we are in learning the skill.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, if it's a brand new skill and I don't know how to do something, say heel hooks, right? This is like at the forefront for me because I didn't learn almost any leg entanglements at CTA in 8.5 years, and then got my brown belt and started competing more at brown belt and have lost so many matches due to toe holds, knee bars, heel hooks, all kinds of things that I wish I had learned. So now, like, over the last 6 or 7 months, I've just been like playing as many games as I can, try to get as many reps in those scenarios as possible.
Okay, so I'm 3 months in. I'm getting introduced to leg locks.
Mm-hmm.
What is the first game that, like, you break down for me? Are we talking entanglements? Are we talking controls? Like, what are we working on? And then how would we advance it into actually hitting, like, our reaps, our ashis, and our tangles?
Mm-hmm. So you could do this one of two ways. You could either start with just control, right? And say, you have to, it's actually funny you asked that because I just bought Greg Sauter's new instructional, which is like all leg lock stuff. I was watching some of it this morning, so I will certainly pull from that. But, control is a prerequisite for finishing mechanics. If you can't control somebody indefinitely, you can't finish them. And so, or it makes it much harder to, right? If you're not able to control them as long as you want. So, control, I think, is a prerequisite. So you might design a game around just controlling your opponent.
So we'll, like, start in the ashi, foot under the butt, foot on the just outside the hip, knee pinch, and then, like, maintain. Or are we talking about transitioning? Because I've played games where you, like, start from there, but the goal is actually to kind of heist their butt up, put their hands on the ground so we can turn out the back for improvements.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, I play with this because I'm an old school leg locker, like 2003 Brazilian guys, like, wanting to fight with me because I go for leg locks, calling me a cobbler and a thief. Like, they told me heel hooks and toe holds were they're thieves moves.
Yeah.
Because they're cheap and they're easy.
Cobbler, huh?
Yeah. They called me a shoemaker. I'm like, I don't
so
understand. But
that's hilarious.
I mean, they worked.
Yeah.
I tapped my first black belt in 3 months.
And just so that you are not alone, Matt, I had the same experience with very little in the way of leg locks, even when we did no gi at my school. We're right now in a 2-week session of just like leg lock, mostly in the gi, but we're doing different leg locks, knee bars, entries.
Leg locks.
Yeah, leg.
You got one leg lock all the way till brown.
Yeah,
you can do a straight Achilles.
Yeah, I mean that's
Right.
pretty much it. So you're not the only one, and I mean that was kind of just the old school jiu-jitsu way, especially if you're in the gi. Obviously, because you're not supposed to be doing certain
In the
things.
early
gi.
2000s, if it wasn't MMA, you weren't learning.
Yeah,
real leg
you're not
locks.
the only. I found myself in the same position, and it was like very eye-opening when you leave a gym or you start cross training. You're like, oh, I'm lost. But the one thing that I was very, very honest with the people. I actually wound up doing private lessons with another friend of mine at my old gym with Drew.
Mm-hmm.
With Drew from A&M Jiu Jitsu in Fort Lauderdale. He would come to my house. I had a mat room set up in the house, and he would come, and we didn't tell anybody at our school because we knew that he was going to be upset that we were, number one, doing it with someone outside of the gym, but just that we were learning anything that he didn't teach. So anyway, that's how I got around it, and we just started doing it privately, and then I started to pick up a little bit of a leg lock game, and now, again, in my school, we do a lot more, but like knee bars, entries, like these spinning moves, it's just, you're not alone in what you experience, but that's the old school jiu-jitsu mentality.
Big time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So just back to your question, Ben,
Sorry.
no, you're good. So one of two ways, either start with control, right? So like one of the games that I was watching this morning, you start in that ashi position, right? Foot on the hip, other foot behind the thigh. You've got like well, he was starting them with just a false grip. So heel exposed, toes in the armpit, right? But you're not connecting your hands at any time. You're just keeping the false grip. And then the goal was to maintain that position as long as possible. The defending player, their goal was to disengage, right? To disconnect from that false grip and remove the connections from the attacking player. But the constraint was they couldn't build a base and they couldn't they couldn't bring their feet back behind them, right? So they had to stay kind of on their butt. I think to negate the problem that is, like if I get myself caught in an entanglement, if I can get my hips higher, if I can get on top, then I can start to untangle things pretty well. But if the attacking player can keep my hips on the ground, then it makes it much more difficult for me to achieve that.
Now,
so
how much information do you give them beforehand, right? So we're talking about, a traditional ashi. Like, are you saying, hey, we want to strip the feet? Or are you going, you guys got to kind of figure this out on your own as you play?
No, we give them intentions, right? So we first want to define what outcome are we trying to get? Disconnected, right? Completely disconnected, disconnect all attachment points, all that stuff. So that's the outcome. Well, what are the task foci that I could use, right? What can I direct their attention to help them achieve this task,
Okay.
right?
But you're not giving them, like, I guess, sorry to keep cutting you off, but I'm just curious. You're not giving them direction like, all right, when we're escaping the ashi, we're looking to strip the hands, pin the foot, sit on the leg, circle to the knee, and come in. You're like, we're just talking very, very general and giving them like kind of a nuance of what you'd want to do to achieve your goal.
Yeah, I don't want to give them the exact answer because that's going to change depending on who they're going with, right? If, you've competed before, so I'm sure you've felt this. It was one of my biggest, I guess, roadblocks, we'll say, when I was at CTA was I would get in a competition, and if somebody did something that wasn't the reaction I was prepared for, I was like, you're doing it wrong. Like, you got to do it this way. Like, that's not the right reaction. And then I realized, oh, the wrong reaction will still work if you're not ready for it.
Mm-hmm.
So we're trying to put people in positions where they're able to collect as many data points as possible, because you're going to do something a little bit different than I will, than Milton will, than anybody that you train with, because our limb lengths are different, our skill levels are different, our experiences and the way we see the world are different. So if I can give somebody a platform, so to speak, where they can explore different outcomes, or not different outcomes, one outcome, but by various means, then they're going to have a more well-rounded understanding of the position at the end of the day. It might look sloppy at the beginning, but that's fine, because learning is sloppy. It's never clean.
I'm dying to share my very first escape that I was taught from basically like a straight ankle lock was to take my toes and stick it in their butt.
Yeah.
I swear on my life. It was stick your toes into the crack of their butt and just push them away so they'll let go. So it's basically like an oil check with your toes.
Yeah.
I swear to God, that was the very first escape. First thing you do, put your
Facts.
Put your toe. Am I not the only one?
So okay.
Is this the escape that's not spoken about too often? We all learn.
It's the most effective leg lock escape ever.
Right.
I remember back in the day, Thiago Alves, Pitbull, was making his UFC debut, and they gave him a Russian Sambo leg lock specialist. And I was like one of the more active leg lockers in the room, and we were roughly the same age at the time, so we were training together a lot. And he never did it to me until it was like a really deep threat, and I'm like, "Yo!"
Yeah.
And it was, like, what? And he goes, "Bro, the ref's never gonna call you. You're just panicked trying to escape. Shove your whole foot in their ass."
Yeah. That was it. I've done it. I have the funny thing is that, I mean, my first school where I learned that, we did it, but it was such a joke that nobody ever got mad about it. I've since done it in other places, and it usually gets well, what? Yeah, and then they
yeah,
there's usually like a visceral reaction. It was
like
a
joke. It was like goosing somebody. Like the polite thing to do in the gym, you use your heel and you just push on their tailbone.
No.
Yeah, dude.
Toes.
If I get
I get what? I got an extra 12 inches out of my foot.
If I get a toe in my butt, I want at least a meal. You got to bring the protein shakes next training session. My next creatine scoop is on you.
I've let out my secret.
Don't go for leg locks on Milton.
The only person that ever did it to me, this is the honest truth. The only person that ever did it to me was my coach teaching it to us. I never had it done to me where somebody sucked their toes, except for my coach.
And then you called him. You're like, "Hey, what are you doing?
Hey, yeah,
you want to hang out later?"
So go on. So go. I mean, continue. You can continue the conversation about it. So, I don't want you to be if you're, as long as you're comfortable being at least on this episode, being the standard bearer of ecological jiu-jitsu. You're speaking for all of ecological jiu-jitsu right now. I do have one question though. When you're watching, whether it's one of Greg's instructionals or anybody, and I'll ask this of even of Ben, do you guys sit down and watch an instructional, like just sit on the couch, watch it? Or like me, I'll throw mats on if I'm watching from home, I'm throwing mats. I'm grabbing I have like a shitty uki, dummy, and I'm watching and then practicing. You said you were watching one of Greg's instructionals this morning, Matt. Are you just literally watching and, okay, I'm going to consume this, maybe take notes and then bring it back to the gym? Or are there certain things when you can, are you like practicing it, or do you have a training partner? Let's watch this together so that I have an uki. How are you consuming your instructionals?
So I go through, I watch it end to end, and then just kind of mentally bookmark games that I think would be useful.
Okay.
Greg does a good job. I mean, he puts a disclaimer on all these. Like these are not one size fits all. These are games that we use, but your room is different than mine. So, you're going to have different problems that come up, and there might be a good starting position, but you might have to adjust things based on, what it is you're seeing. So yeah, I mean, I as soon as I can, I'll go back to the mats and, try to play some of the games,
Sure.
and see how they work and collect that data and figure out where I'm maybe missing something. And then if I have to go back and watch it, maybe there's some details that I missed or some task foci that I missed.
So I've never seen one of Greg. So like we're talking about most of his instructionals are game related. Like
yeah.
Teaching, it's all game related.
I'll say, okay, this is the game, and this is why we're playing the game, right? This is the outcome that we're trying to achieve, and here's what you should focus on to achieve that task.
Mm-hmm.
And then two of his students will play the game, so you can kind of see it live. And you can see, how people are solving problems, and just to give you some ideas as to where you might start. Okay.
How about you? Are you a consumer of a lot of instructions? So, which I would like the more traditional stuff of like, here's a move. This is, they're showing it like on an uki.
So John Danaher ruined me in that look, he's a
Did he stick a thumb in, a toe in your butt?
No, but I did talk to him on the streets of New York, and it was awkward. Anyway, basically, I acquired some of his instructionals. I tried to watch them.
I like the way you say acquired. You mean you got them hot on the internet.
I mean, they were just handed
to me. They were gifts. Like DVD, like DVD back when they were DVDs.
I've got some digital, I got some DVD, But I brought him in. I called a couple of my longer standing students. I'm like, yo, let's meet before open mat. We'll put him on the TV. We'll kind of go through it. And listening to his explanation, we were already, it was 40 minutes before we got to the move. And I was like, I'm done with this. So what I ended up doing, and this is just what I did, occasionally on off hours, Matt might be able to back me up here as he's a California guy. 25 to 35 milligrams, about an hour before training. Then you have a quick sesh in the parking lot before your sesh in the gym. And once you have firmly reached the fifth dimension, You do 1 hour rolls until you find something weird. You've never done that? Oh, it's the best.
No,
you got to try it.
I cannot comment on that. I do not. No, I can't.
Well, maybe you should.
You're not the first person to say that, honestly.
It's definitely not an every night thing. Like, what I find is, like, I rediscovered Tornado Guard one day. I was just really high and found Tornado Guard again. Then for the next 2 months, I played a lot of Tornado Guard and it switches off. But that's kind of how I keep it entertaining. Because my gym has 1 brown belt, 2 or 3 purple belts. So, like, as a black belt, like, we're still a young gym in terms of, like, promotion. So I don't have a lot of people that are, like, really able to, like, fight me.
Okay.
So, like, let's even the odds a little bit.
Okay.
Let's make it easier for you. I don't know. Works for me.
Oh, my.
I don't do this in class. Please understand. This is like, hey, Sunday afternoon. Wife's out of town. What are you guys doing? You want to get high and roll?
I've never rolled high.
You're missing out.
I've never rolled high.
Yeah.
When I was younger, sometimes we'd get high and then lift. Before I found martial arts, really, would train. Be like, why do I feel so strong? This is amazing.
Dude,
like I thought it was the most amazing thing ever. I'm just not like if I'm gonna do anything, I'm gonna fall asleep. I'm like,
yeah.
if I get high, if I've gotten high,
You need to buy a better weed.
it's just usually like an evening thing. Like it's either like I get high and then I'm gonna eat and then I'm a blob on the couch.
Hey, that's where it starts. And then you really dive in.
Right now, I've got some edibles from a buddy. I take the tiny little bite off this edible before I go to sleep, and I have the most amazing sleep. For the past couple, we have only had them for like the last month.
Okay, so now double
That's
your
how
bite and do it 2 hours early.
No, man, I mean, it's harder to wake up. They're pretty strong. It's harder to wake up, and it's this crazy dry mouth. But I haven't smoked and done edibles like forever. I haven't done anything.
Practice makes perfect, my friend. Practice makes perfect.
So but I like to sleep. I couldn't imagine getting high and train. I mean, I guess I should try it, but I haven't. It's not something.
All right, hold on. Let's set up an event.
Yeah. He was looking at me. He was like, "There's nobody my size, more." And he said, "I don't have any black belts." And then he looked at me. I'm like, "No, no, thank you, man." How much you weigh, man?
Right now?
We're the same weight?
249.
Okay,
baby.
I'm not too far away. I'm trying to lose a little bit of weight.
Me too.
You're a fucking big dude. I'm
It's weird.
230. I'm 230.
Like, I've watched my food,
Yeah.
but like I guess I'm
before you
like
stuff it in your
that
mouth.
classic ectomorph where like I get strong real easy. I just never lose body fat.
How long you've been training since? What age?
21st birthday to myself.
How are you? How old are
I'm
you?
43.
You're still a bit. You're much younger than me, huh?
I mean, I got a gray ass beard, dude.
I'm gonna be
You're gonna be 74.
At 52 the end of this month, man.
Damn.
Yeah.
Okay, Grandpa.
52. Yeah, it's I was talking to my girl. I'm like, my sister's birthday's in April, and she's 2 years older than me, and she is not having she does not she doesn't fare well around her birthdays. She hates getting older, and I'm just like, yep, another year.
Well, I mean,
I made it. I love getting. I don't know what it is. I love getting older.
You are firmly entering your George Clooney phase. See, men get older and they turn into George Clooney, and shit, and they're like,
girl,
man, you're
she loves the salt and
debonair.
pepper.
Yeah, girls, you're mature. You probably got a good job. I bet you drive a nice car. And it's clean inside. Where girls were kind of like, oh, my money days had passed. I'm 50. I have menopause.
Did you hear about this perimenopause? She sent me a couple of things about perimenopause. Now my feed is like dominated by perimenopause, which is like, I guess it starts in their like early to mid 30s even. She's like, this is what you're gonna have to look forward to. I'm like, I never understood. I'm not saying this for me. I never understood why like older men like went after younger girls, and I'm understanding like watching these videos about women and perimenopause. It's just like they don't want to have sex.
Well,
for some of it, they don't want to get it when they hit menopause. That there are lots of divorces based on that.
Yeah.
Men and women not understanding it. Sex leaves the relationships, and then men go after these younger women.
They also
not that it's
develop,
right. I'm just saying
bad hormone imbalances as it goes on, just like an aging man. Dr. Drew Pinsky, like from Loveline, I've heard his wife interview. She got on testosterone. She's in her 50s.
She got on testosterone. Really?
So they do so. Okay, in the 80s or early 90s, there was a bunch of backlash against hormone therapy for women going through menopause. So much so that the medical associations announced that it was actually killing them and giving them forms of cancer. So in the 90s, if you did hormone therapy with women, you were considered a butcher. So everyone stopped, and they've never gone back. But as we're finding out, especially with testosterone recently in the last couple months, it has been de-black labeled. Okay. So testosterone has now been shown to have no negative effects when used in a normal, volume
for women,
for anyone.
Men and women. Okay.
So one of the big solves, apparently, to this menopause issue is just a minor dose of testosterone.
Okay, really?
And it apparently full reversion. This is not your mom's house with Tom Segura, so I'm pretty sure we're not going to talk about all things, but she brings up all sorts of crazy. She's like, I got on test and we do this now, we do this now, we do this now, and I like this and I like that.
So,
yeah.
Strange segue, Matt. But a segue into what are your thoughts on hormone replacement? Like, you're in the strength and conditioning field. Or is it something that you recommend for like an older player? Like, again, I started this past, I was 51 when I started TRT. You're
4 months
on,
in,
right? You're
4
on.
months, yeah.
It's especially with jiu-jitsu, Matt, it's people 45, let me say, I'm like throwing out a number here, 45 plus that I train jiu-jitsu with. Everybody's on TRT. Everybody's
Who
doing
doesn't want to
something.
feel 20 again?
What do you find? What do you suggest? How do you feel about it? Can we let's make the transition into that conversation?
I to be completely honest, don't know much about it. As a 35-year-old, I haven't,
with all your testosterone still, great. Rub it in our face, Matt.
I haven't felt I haven't felt the need personally.
Yeah.
I definitely can tell when somebody I'm rolling with is.
Yeah. How and why how? This old guy should not be this strong.
The look and the movement don't match, and I'm like, something's up here.
Yeah.
I know I got way more, like, I'm a very passive, kind of lazy, because I'm 250 pounds and I am quite strong, so I tend to be like pretty blasé. But when I started rolling afterwards, I am way meaner. I am way more aggressive. I don't hesitate adjustments, and I hit shit hard.
No, I'm super chill. I feel my strength. I feel the strength. I'm working out more. I'm lifting more. I get more and better results from less lifting than I did before. Right?
Mm-hmm.
I used to lift a ton before and I wasn't seeing results, and now I'm like I feel it. I see it.
Yep.
When I grab somebody, but there's no the testosterone never kicked up like a mean streak in me. You know, like I did steroids in my early to mid 30s. And it was just like I wanted to fight everyone.
Oh no, not that kind of aggression.
Like,
no,
no, but you're talking about training and being being a little bit more aggressive on when you're rolling.
Where I would normally, because again, I have a relatively young student base, lots of white and blue belts and such. So like I would just kind of let them beat me up, and now I'm like, I'm gonna throw you.
Okay, all right, not mean spirited.
No,
anger, like when you actually get angry. I've fought with my girl. I've had arguments with people, whatever. I never felt like it.
Oh yeah,
like the testosterone wasn't making me like that whole testosterone. He's mean. He's But yeah, I mean, like Matt. Again, are you working with people? And again, strength and conditioning in that world. Yeah. Do you work with guys like they're open? Yeah. I mean, I think most people are open about it now. I don't think anybody really cares to talk about it. It was just like taking tests doesn't mean that you're impotent. It doesn't mean that it's just like your body is. You're getting older, and the things that used to happen aren't happening as much, or you're not as strong.
When you're as old,
your sex drive goes down, right?
When you're in your 50s, like a real old guy, and you still wake up with boners, it's pretty good.
Yeah, that's a good morning. You're like, look at me.
Then you're like, hey, you want to wake up? Yeah. No? Let's go be alone.
I will say two things, just to your point. I think people who are going to do it should get the requisite blood work first.
Sure.
Definitely.
Like, you should know what's going on before you make any decisions like that.
Yeah.
And then the second thing would be to not use it as a replacement for lifting.
Yeah.
Use it.
I mean, you have to be active.
Like, you should.
If you don't do anything, you're just going to get fat faster.
I think strength training is for life. Like, you should be doing that no matter what. So
yeah. It's part of like I credit. Like, I have faster recovery when I lift the day after jiu-jitsu. the more, if I'm just sitting on the couch, I could go to the gym, like I said before, like I want to take a nap. I don't need that nap if I'm active and doing something. But if I go home and I sit it's a Saturday, I sit on the couch, I eat lunch, I'm eating in front of the TV. What is it, sedentary? Like a sedentary lifestyle, right? That is my worst enemy. If that's when I feel the aches and pains and getting up from the couch and doing this, But if I'm active the whole day, I'm better. Yes, and then I go to sleep and I might wake up a little sore, but I will be less sore than if I had sat on the couch all day. So I'm absolutely for me, it's usually one day of jiu-jitsu, one day of lifting at least. These days, honestly, I train jiu-jitsu usually at least 2 days a week. It's Monday, Thursday are my days. And then I try to fit in an open mat on Sundays when I can. But then that Sunday, Monday back to back is hard. An hour and change of hard rolling, and then sparring, especially because there's a lot of people come in from different gyms, so it's just like not everybody's really nice. And then Monday night, that's hard to do those 2 days. So I try to do a workout day in between. It's usually jiu-jitsu weights, jiu-jitsu weights, jiu-jitsu weights. However that mixes up, that's what I try to do because my body feels so much better. Yeah. Like I trained last night. I haven't worked out today yet, but I feel pretty good. I'll go to the gym tonight. But again, Matt, going back, you have guys that you work with in the strength and conditioning world, and they're on TRT. Yeah. Do you see the difference? Like, oh wow, did you go start doing something, or do they usually talk to you, get your opinion, get some advice?
They'll talk about it, but less like do you think I should? More of I'm doing this.
I'm doing it no matter what. I laugh only that, yeah.
And I'm like, that's listen. It's your body, man. You do whatever you want, and I'm not knocking it.
You'll be old one day. Don't worry.
Yeah, I know. We're all
just
in the same place. Right?
By the way, you said the blood work, and I get it, the blood work. I mean, pretty much if you're going to a wellness facility, you're always going to need the TRT. Like the blood work, regardless of how the blood work comes back, they're going to find something that you should be on, which it is. I mean, they do a ton of testing, and there are things like, hey, you can fill in the blanks, but I'm not going to lie. Everybody goes on something.
Too early for 4 years.
Oh, really? You
and actually, I had a higher test.
How old are you?
I'm 43.
You're 43. I mean, so you're 39. I could see that.
I started getting checked at 35.
Okay.
And I went 620, 520, 420, 320, 620, 320, 4. It jumped a lot. And at 320, I thought they were going to put me on, and they're like, "Nah, you're 37.
Doctor or wellness facility? Doctor?
A couple of each.
Okay.
Yeah. So
okay.
I saw a doctor.
Because there's going to be a different doctor's going to be, I think, feel like a little bit more honest about it.
The doctors I've seen, I'm an endocrinologist. I deal with diabetes and insulin. I don't do this. They actually send you to the wellness. That guy messes with steroids. Go talk to him.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
And what about Matt? Again, TRT might be out of the. For you personally, right?
But what
about how prevalent is steroid use still amongst so the younger crowd in jiu-jitsu and in your strength?
Are we calling steroid use just things outside of exogenous testosterone, or just an abundance?
Yeah. Well, I don't know. However you define that, are lots of people taking supplements?
Juice.
Supplements.
I don't know. I mean, the people in my gym, it's few and far between.
Yeah.
I guess competing at the masters level, it seems like almost everybody is.
Yeah.
Well, there goes my advantage.
And then competing, sometimes I'll do adult brackets. I think it's probably less likely, but at the highest levels, obviously you've seen what's happened over the last several years. People leaving the podium because they got to catch a flight, but in reality, it's because they saw US 88 there, and
Well, I was definitely of a different opinion before I really truly understood it, and I should say, I had a heart attack at 43. The one question the doctor asked me before they went into to basically find that I need stents was, she goes, steroids? She looks down. I'm on the table, to go in. They're going to go in the leg and go. What do they call that? The catheter, right? They put the catheter in the artery. The only question she asked me, I don't even think she asked me my name. She looked down at me and she said, she went, steroids? And I said, yeah, we're in my 30s. And she just nodded like, okay. That's why this young person is on my table. And then I always just had that in the back of my mind. I don't think I really discussed. No, I did like a stupid kid, fucking friends were doing it. And I would be like, yeah, get me some too. And I would go on and off and didn't wean myself off properly.
But were you doing big doses?
No, no. I mean, I did HGH, I did D-ball, Winstrol, stuff like that. And it definitely again, we didn't have a conversation about it. She just asked me that question. So I always had it in the back of my mind. Oh, that's why I'm here. That's why this happened. And then for years, I would say when people were talking to me about TRT, I'm like, I'm not shooting steroids. They're like, it's not steroids. It's this, it's that. And then once I understood it and went and really talked to somebody, I was like, okay, yeah, I could use this, But, the steroids, I don't know what kids are doing these days. I don't know if kids that's still a thing. Christian, yeah, a lot of steroids out there.
Have you seen Sam Sulek?
He's nodding his head. He's nodding his head. Christian, our producer back there, has trained a little bit.
Matt, you should.
He doesn't want to come.
curls.
He doesn't want to come
so
train jiu-jitsu with me, but he'll definitely throw on the gloves.
But he won't throw to jiu-jitsu with you. But he'll be like, Stark, can I come to your gym and spar?
Yeah.
I don't train regularly, but he's not.
He's nodding his head that there's still steroids are still prevalent out there. So, and our new young friend, what's your name?
The trainee. You better get on that microphone, young man.
One more time. Daniel. Daniel trained
Daniel?
today. Daniel's behind the screen over there. He's saying yes as well. So I don't.
He just pulled out a bottle of Equipoise.
I don't. I really wish I had talked to somebody back then and understood it. But it definitely I feel like it definitely caused me some health problems. And you got a little freaking you got.
I never got any gyno.
Yeah,
I just got boners.
I think I've talked about it on the show. I had to have the surgery.
You did?
When you're getting D-ball from your
from your buddy,
from your high school friends.
Yeah.
This is top quality shit.
It's freaking aspirin. You're like, man, it feels so jacked, and it's just like baby aspirin, But yeah, man. So let's so that we don't before we end, go and tell us a little bit more about who is ideal for you. Talk about the business. Let's if anybody wants to reach out to you, where they can find you. But let's talk a little bit about the strength and conditioning business, where it's located, what do you do, and who's the ideal student or trainee for you.
Yeah, absolutely. So Victory Submission Strength is the name of the gym, and we're a strength training facility in San Jose, California for grapplers. So
okay.
I'd say 90% of our members are jiu-jitsu athletes. We have some judo people, some wrestlers, but the vast majority of them are
our wrestler's nodding his head over here. I think this young man's a wrestler, the new guy.
Let's wrestle.
Well, go ahead, Matt. Go ahead.
Let's wrestle.
And yeah, our sole mission is to help grapplers get stronger, faster, more mobile so that they can spend more time on the mats, win more matches, get injured less. I am fortunate to have come from what we call a big budget sport. So
okay.
working for the Sharks, right, or working for an NHL team, you see up close how multi-million-dollar company is going to put, or what kind of resources a multi-million-dollar company is going to put behind their assets to help keep them on the ice, right? Keep them healthy. I've worked for USA Hockey and seen what USA Hockey does to, help train, their best athletes. And Jiu-Jitsu doesn't have that, right? I would say strength and conditioning in Jiu-Jitsu is decades behind.
Mm-hmm.
Come on, man. You just do some shrimps and some push-ups. You'll be good. No problem.
And so our goal is to bring strength training for grapplers into modern days, and use a lot of the principles that I've learned working, in another sport, for the people who come through to us. And we've seen really, really good results. We work with brand new jiu-jitsu athletes all the way to professionals. We've had Tamara Silva was with us before her first world title. She just won her second. Congratulations, Tamara. Jaini Fragoso was with us before she moved. And then our biggest name now is probably Alan Sanchez, who's prepping for CGI. So,
oh, wow.
we've had every walk of life come through the gym. I mean, we've got some non-grapplers, some non-athletes, some people who just like want to kick ass at life. And,
Yeah.
you know, we'll work with anybody. We can help anybody. But all of our marketing efforts go toward jiu-jitsu athletes.
You made me think of another question. I'm just going to go back to the eco conversation real quick. When when it was Greg, do we want to call it debated? Who did he debate on?
Oh,
like,
Mike Israel.
yeah, right. They spoke. Did they do like an Instagram live or something, right?
Yeah,
And I
something
think
like that,
who's the guy from up in Ocean Jiu Jitsu?
Tom DeBlas.
Tom
Oh,
DeBlas in there. It's kind of like a mediator, right?
Yeah.
When I was around the time that I was seeing that, I was also seeing that, like, hey, this isn't original to jiu-jitsu. Like, there's an ecological approach in other sports. Did you find that? Would you say, like, with hockey, was there that approach, or is that approach? And is that correct that there are like eco approaches in other sports? So it's not like this dynamic isn't unique to jiu-jitsu. This has been around, or is used in other sports?
Yeah, this is not unique to jiu-jitsu at all. And I'm glad you asked that because, you know, my first experience with this was with USA Hockey, actually.
Okay.
I didn't know it at the time. I had no clue what we were doing. I just, you know, I was taught a certain way, and so I did it a certain way. So, like, when I grew up playing, you know, in order to learn a skill, you stood over there and I stood over here, and they said, okay, now pass the puck back and forth. Right? The problem with that is hockey's not played still, and that never happens. You know, you're always going to have somebody trying to take the puck from you. You're always going to be moving. They're going to move in a different direction. There's all kinds of different things that pop up, right? Your environment, right? That's the whole ecological dynamics thing. So, when I started coaching for USA Hockey, I got there and they were like, we're going to use these small games to teach skills, right? And we're going to build the game so that it's played at high intensity and they're trying to achieve a certain objective, right? They're trying to achieve a certain outcome. And here are things that we're going to tell them to focus on in order to get that done, right?
Okay.
So back to my passing example, like if you wanted to get kids better at passing, or adults for that matter, anybody learning, you might put them in a small area. So say just like the face-off circle, and maybe there's 2 players for each team. And in order to score a point, you have to connect 3 passes between the 2 of you in a row. And if you score those 3 passes in a row, you score a point. And the other team is obviously trying to take the puck from you and achieve the same thing, right? So now you're learning how to pass, but you're learning how to pass under pressure. You're learning how to pass in small space. You're learning how to pass while you're moving, while your teammates moving, while your opponents are moving. And on the flip side of things, if you don't have the puck, you're learning how to defend, and you're learning how to take the puck away, right? That's a skill in and of itself. So now everybody is gaining something from this versus you and me just standing there passing statically.
Okay.
Right. So that's how they started to, when I arrived here in San Jose, that was the methodology. They were like, hey, this is how we're going to teach people. And so I started doing that. And I come to find out when I was working, so every summer I would go to Colorado Springs, work for USA Hockey there, learn from like a lot of the best coaches that USA Hockey had to, had in their organization. They'd come in and they would teach us. We're working with the top 15-year-olds from Alaska to Texas, several of whom, have gone on to play professional hockey, and it was really, really cool to see. But they would use that week as a testing ground for different rules if they wanted to elicit certain behavior. And come to find out that USA Hockey had done this research 15 years ago. They started it 15 years ago, and at the very beginning, everybody was like, no, you got to stand here and learn how to pass. And now, 15 years ago, United States born players were not known for being the most skilled in the world. They were known for being bruisers. They went out, they hit people, they fought. They occupied the bottom half of the roster as far as skill went. Now, completely different. It's totally flipped. The skill level coming out of places like Arizona, Texas, and Florida is sky high. And I would argue,
all places with no ice. By the way,
yeah, they're not traditional hockey markets, but they're attracting really good athletes. And because they're coaching this way, it's the skill level is shooting through the roof. And it's only a matter of time, I think, before we overtake Canada completely. Like I said, we're 1-1A.
I mean, you guys saw the Panthers whoop that ass, though.
Well, they lost the other
They
night.
lost.
I didn't know that. I just knew they won 6.
Last year.
That's different.
The other week.
That's a different thing because, like, in the NHL, you have players from all countries on those teams or whatever. But the Four Nations Cup actually happened this year. So you had U.S., Canada, Sweden, Finland. And the U.S. and Canada traded wins. Canada, unfortunately, got the best of us in the final, but they were, I mean, 1-goal games. They're very, very close. And some of the most skilled players in the world are coming out of the United States now as a direct result of this approach. I'm telling you, I've seen it happen in other sports, hockey being the number one. In 15 years, jiu-jitsu academies are going to look a lot different. And I think you're going to see more games played than the traditional.
I'm already seeing it in my gym. Like there are the younger guys who are coaches or who are black belts who are younger. Like we've got some young kids that have been training in the same academy since they were children in the single digits and have come up through the system, are now in their early 20s and have black belts. And they're introducing these things. That's why it interests me even more, because I'm seeing like, hey, let's do this. Or, you know, one guy, the old guy, drops a joke about eco jiu-jitsu, and then the other guy's like, well, let's play this game. Let's do this. Come on, play, you know. So it's happening. And I think it's like anything. It's like we talk about jiu-jitsu for law enforcement all the time. Let's just that as an example. It just takes the younger guys to move up and be the decision makers, right? The people who believe in ecological jiu-jitsu are going to move up, become the black belts, own gyms, and then it's going to just naturally change. And you're slowly but slowly going to wean out the guys that, you know, are
the old guys,
the more traditional, right? People want new. I want new. One of the reasons I love my school so much is because it's like 15 plus black belts on the mat on a Monday. Sometimes there's more black belts lined up on a class than on the than brown and below. So I love that there's so many different takes on it, and I'm just like a sponge. I want to learn. So Matt,
you also want efficient, right?
Yeah,
Like that's
at my age, absolutely.
Right, you want efficient, and if you can, when Josh and I first started doing this, it's funny because after he left CTA, he got injured after that whole Nomad year, and he was like, "How am I going to learn jiu-jitsu? I don't have a school. I just go to open mats. Like, what am I going to do?" And one of the local black belts sent him a book recommendation. It was How We Learn to Move by Rob Gray, which is like the Bible for constraints-led approach coaches.
Okay.
And he would read me parts. He was like, "Hey, what do you think about this?" And I was like, "That's like verbatim what USA Hockey taught us." And keep going. "What about this?" I'm like, "Yep, that's what USA Hockey taught us." And then, after a while, I was like, "Wait a minute, am I doing this wrong?" And then we started to like play those games on the side. We just like go to open mat, and then we'd be like, "All right, let's try this. Let's try this. Let's try this." And I would learn more in an hour than I learned in a month. I was like, "Holy shit!" Like, I didn't think that this was possible to get this far in this one position this quickly. So I mean, the efficiency, I think, is really what's gonna.
What did you say? Constraints-led approach, is that the same as eco? Yeah, that's the same. Those two things mean.
Ecological dynamics is the overarching term, but constraints-led approach is one methodology that you use to train.
Okay.
That method. So.
Okay. All right, so we got to start wrapping it up. Tell everybody where your strength and conditioning location is. What is it called? Victory
Submission Strength. We're in San Jose, California. Okay. You can find us on Instagram at Victory Submission Strength. You can find us on our website, victorysubmissionstrength.com. We've got all kinds of free resources there. We've got online programs for sale as well. If you're in the San Jose area, you can book a strategy session. We'll talk about goals, medical, injury history, go through the full assessment process, and get you where you need to go.
Awesome. Do you want to give out your personal IG as well?
Yeah, you can find me at matt.jits.hugh. So just like jits in between Matthew.
Yeah. I swear to God, the first time I read that, I thought it was Jiu-Jitsu Jew.
That's funny.
I was like, oh, yeah, okay, cool. He's Jewish.
Or they, Matthew.
Hugh, not Jew. I didn't see a J there. It's H.
H-E-W. Yep. And then we just started Victory Submission Grappling Instagram as well. So my personal one is kind of like an amalgamation of the two, and then Victory Submission Strength is like mostly strength training content, and then the Victory Submission Grappling one is like all eco CLA.
Okay. So normally we don't have time to do our drill down. We have like a bunch of questions that like listeners submit the most. So I'm just going to get the most important one, which is, even though you're doing a lot of no-gi jiu-jitsu, you did a lot of gi jiu-jitsu. Do you or do you not wash your jiu-jitsu belt?
I do wash my jiu-jitsu belt.
There you go. Like you're supposed to.
Hold up, but how frequently? Because once is still washing your belt.
Yeah, once every few weeks, maybe.
Yeah. Well,
that seems like a consensus.
To Neutrozone clean. This is what I use. I do not wash my belt I used to wash my belt every time I got it. I just threw it all in with my gi in the wash. I still throw my gi in the wash as soon as I get home. I always threw my belt in. As a black belt, only I'm like, I hope that I have this particular belt for a really long time. I realize that the more I wash it, the more that it's going to like start to fray sooner, So I do spray this one, but at every other belt rank, I had two belts, and I would just throw one in and then grab the other one, throw it in my bag. Like I wasn't so attached to the belt. This one, even though an a-hole gave it to me, it's still special to me. I still want to keep it, I want its color to change because of the training, right? Not the because of the wash.
I've been training jiu-jitsu for 4 years. In 4 years, I got hurt 6 times. I received stem cell injections in my wrists, elbows, shoulders, both knees, and I got stem cells recently injected in my left index finger. After a week and a half, I was right back at it, going the way I like to go at it. At Lehil Biogenics, they're friendly, they're patient, they answer all the questions you might have. Educate yourself. Call Lehil, ask about stem cells, and see where it takes you.
Unlock the power of your online presence with Black Belt Digital Marketing. Their reputation management program ensures your Google business profile seen by more potential customers. Black Belt Digital Marketing is your full-service digital marketing agency specializing in local SEO and reputation management. Boost your business today. Visit bbdigitalmarketing.com. Your success is their priority.
So, Matt, don't hang up. We're going to take a picture or two by this screen. So I'm just going to shout out. We threw on our glasses, we threw on our Leo Optics glasses. Shout out to Leo Optics, who always keeps us in shades and gives us shades to give away on the show. They're the go-to brand for sunglasses and apparel, featuring their unique bamboo sunglasses. You have the bamboo. These are a little bit more traditional. Show them the inside. Show them, does it have the stripe on the inside? Does. Right? We showed that little red stripe
here.
Right? Got that nice stripe there. You can get your belt rank. So if you order in the comments, ask for your belt rank, they'll paint it on there for you. Their products embody the BJJ lifestyle that we all know and love. You can visit them at leooptics.com. If you go to our Instagram, you can see them, and you can see the coupon codes that we put for each sponsor. They give you 10% off with code JJD. And they're supporters of Academy Safe as well. So we're working with them for a really long time. Shout out to Lehil as well. Lehil Biogenics. I did my stem cell therapy there. I'm going to be reporting back to you guys soon on my results. I'm also going to be finally doing the BPC 157 and a couple other things. So to help with my no, I haven't. I went away on vacation and life happens. But I'll be talking to you guys about that as well. You can follow us on at Jiu Jitsu Dummies and see all the ways to watch, listen, and support the show. That's it, Ben. You want to add anything here?
Yes, please.
Where are you going to be? You're like the always everywhere.
Ladies, gentlemen, coaches, corners, cut men, if you want the absolute best in corner kit, go to fighttape.us. The best gauze, the best tape, in unbelievable price, way better than the big brands, either in individual or bulk. We have it all for you. So take advantage. Fighttape.us. Support local business.
Thank you again for watching and listening. Matt, thank you again for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Peace, love, jiu-jitsu, everyone. Peace. Take care.